We're here to discuss Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot, Episode 4. Monster Ligon Tyrox, a strange monster with a strange name. My boss, Ryan.
Hello, hello. It's an interesting episode. I like the location and the set, the overall theme and idea of it.
The gargoyle gang with beloved Spider is attempting to destroy the Unicorn Middle Eastern branch. The reason is because they want to cut Unicorn off from the fuel that is supplied from Saudi Arabia. What did you think of that plot, Gargoyle Gang's execution of it?
It was good overall. I mean, their whole idea of taking over or getting rid of them, it's just the way they went about it, killing all those people just off the rip like that, especially if you're going to use them. If you're going to
use them as bargaining chips.
Yeah, there you go. How are you going to kill all your bargaining chips if that's what you're using them for? So, I mean, that doesn't work out.
They basically wasted all but 3 unicorn people. The brother was working there as it seemed to be the head of the Middle Eastern branch, and his sister, who's a regular on the show, she initiated coming to save him. If she hadn't done that, or if Spider had actually succeeded in blowing her up when he blew up the plane, they would have had literally no bargaining chips to try to get this guy to do what they want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Spider, of course, being Spider, comes up with a plan to blow up the plane, and they planted a bomb on the outside. Johnny shows up, disobeying for the first time, with the giant robot, and gets them out of the plane. They eject right before the plane blows up. Spider, for these 30 seconds, has like the greatest look on his face from stem to stern. What did you think of Spider's performance here?
As usual, he knows what he's doing. I feel like he's probably the best actor there on the show. His scowls and then his overall emotion and reaction to everything. He's very good at what he does. So I'm glad to have him as the secondary villain, I guess. Well, he's like the main villain. I don't know.
He's like a third character now because you've got, of course, Emperor Guillotine, who is the number 1 villain, who had a bit in the beginning of this. And then Dr. Botanist, or if you're in Japan, Dr. Over. He's the one who had Ligon Tyrox and came up with this plan, apparently, to drain Unicorn of its oil and then destroy the giant robot. How did you think those villains did in this particular episode?
I guess that makes sense. Was that specifically to get rid of the oil for the robot, or just to help weaken them? Because the robot doesn't run off of oil.
Right, it was to weaken them and bait the robot.
Okay, that makes sense. I'd say it's a good idea, and it probably would have worked if they would have stopped them from intercepting on that plane. kid's gonna be a kid. Johnny Sacco managed to get them out of there without the help of what's his name? The one who was
Jerry Mono.
Yeah, who was the one who was sleeping the entire time?
Yes. Jerry Mono was asleep through a lot of this episode, much like me and Ryan on Prisoners of Ghostland. We'll start with Jerry and then we'll go to Johnny. What did you think of Jerry's performance here?
He's either got to get more sleep that night or he's got to get less sleep on the job because he almost got him killed, twice during this whole episode just because he was sleeping.
And he was laughing about Johnny not being able to go on the mission. This is while he's in the plane that has a bomb on the bottom that luckily Johnny did disobey and got the thing off.
Yeah.
Johnny here had some great moments. The saving of the plane. Also, the saving of the 3 agents left from the Middle East branch of Unicorn, Chick and her brother.
He was like the main hero here.
Right, he was. Giant Robot was actually fighting without Johnny. Unlike the Nucleon Ball, the moment Johnny put down the radio because he was knocked out, Giant Robot just kind of fell over. Here, he was throwing down with Ligon Tyrox, not doing well, but he was throwing down with him, in spite of the fact that Johnny wasn't there.
If the show's going to be under his name, then he's got to be doing more. And I'm glad that they're realizing that because I remember mentioning in one of the other episodes, or a couple of the other episodes, he's not doing much, or he wasn't doing much. It was mainly focused on him at the end when they needed the robot, and that was about it. But I like that he was, get into the giant monster thing and into its toe because its like toenail opens up. That's pretty cool. So I like that he was able to infiltrate, get in, save the people he needed to, and then get out. That's main character, if you will.
Yeah, and they had a couple of great Bond moments here. Jerry Mono threw his little star with his name on it, the U3, his badge, at a bad guy and knocked the gun out of his hand. Another one, Johnny was attacked while trying to free everybody from the prison, and he had sleeping gas of some kind out underneath his arm.
It was cool because the way it comes out of his elbow, so it was like he raised his hands to surrender, and then it struck him.
Those were great moments in this. Seeing how Giant Robot is kind of a spy thing in a lot of ways. I hope they do, I should say. Seeing how it's a spy thing in a lot of ways, I hope they do more of that.
Yeah, that'll be cool to see. It gave me Get Smart vibes.
Oh, definitely Get Smart vibes. The robot himself, like he said, he showed a little bit of free will in this for the first time.
Yeah.
His battle with Ligon Tyrox. His battle was one of the more physical battles, I think even more physical than the Draculon.
It was alright. I noticed a lot of close-ups and, it's a lot of, I guess what would you say, something to save on production. There was a lot of close-ups, a lot of, low shots where it was kind of just the Tyrox kicking the robot with, his little stubby feet. I kind of wish they did have more outward shots, even if it was just them slapping each other, like the last one we had.
Yeah, that one was the Draculon where they were doing the slapping back and forth. And then of course the gargoyle vine.
Yeah.
Here, Johnny takes control of the robot later. His fight gets a lot better.
Yeah, once the robot actually gets taken control of, then he's able to do a bit more. I noticed he has the new power in this one. He uses the eye lasers. I don't think he's used those before.
He has not at this point. And the eye lasers were really cool looking. What did you think of the eye lasers?
Yeah, I thought that was cool, especially because they don't seem to be actual lasers. They're more like, I don't know, some type of radiation or something like that come out of his eyes. So I thought that was cool.
Since the robot runs off of atomic power, he would have a lot of radiation in there to shoot out.
Yeah.
Ligon Tyrox, I thought the weapon for him was really cool. The kind of bola chain that he threw at him, ball and chain.
Yeah.
He had chains for hair, and he had a big old horn on his head. Once Johnny took over, he pretty much got hammered.
Yeah, he didn't really stand a chance. And that's something that I kind of expected, I guess, when you have organic. No, it wasn't even organic. It probably was a robot in itself because they had spaces inside of there. It was like a prison. Yeah, so I guess it was just robot versus robot, and there just wasn't good enough.
The difference I think they're saying here is that Johnny's a human being and he can improvise.
Yeah.
Where Ligon is a robot that nobody was controlling.
He kind of had its own, I guess, a sense of free will, but even then, it didn't have good programming.
Yeah, it didn't, because he couldn't improvise well. As soon as Johnny got in there and had Giant Robot, destroy his weapon, he pretty much didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
The giant robot put him in a wrestling hold and then threw him, basically body slammed him into a pyramid. And that was the end of that character. So the fight, once a human element was involved, there was no chance for Ligon at that time.
Yeah, I thought the fight was overall, give it like a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed the drill from Ligon because the way he uses it could have been a bit better though. Like, you probably could have done a lot more damage drilling the actual robot in the chest or in the leg or in the arm instead of just kicking him.
Right. The drill bit that's a cool weapon. He didn't use it well, but I think they were saying that the robot was kind of moving and keeping. I guess one of the reasons why the robot was wrestling with him was to keep the drill bit away from him.
But he had like this weird combo of like close and long range, right? Because he's using the ball.
The ball and chain.
Yeah, he's using the ball to like throw at him and then pull back, and he was doing that over and over again. And then once he catches him with it, then he came in close. If you're gonna catch him with it, you might as well just pull him down to the ground or something like that. We know that'll stop him at least for a little bit.
Especially if Johnny's not controlling him, because Johnny wasn't controlling him at that time.
Yeah.
But I think that's the weakness in the character of Ligon, is that he's a robot who's stuck on a program and he's going to run it almost like a video game. Video game character runs through what it's going to do, and it doesn't change too much dealing the situation, especially an old video game character. Nowadays you got AI and they'll mix it up more. But if you play like Donkey Kong or Popeye or Pac-Man or the old Captain America and the Avengers game, you notice that the bad guys run on a track.
Yeah.
Almost like a ride at Disneyland. And once you learn the pattern, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Giant Robot was able to do here, because he was on a pattern until Johnny shows up.
That makes sense. I guess they do seem to be either making upgrades to the robot, or he's, like, I guess, discovering stuff on his own. Because, like we mentioned, he had the eye lasers, and then before he wasn't really moving on his own at all. Why are they so stuck on either getting the robot or killing the robot? When you have so much funding as Gargoyle Gang, you're like spending all this money and other stuff rather than just building your own robot to combat that's like on the same level.
It's because they killed Dr. Lucius Guardian. He said that he didn't have a notebook, that everything was in his head. His design for the giant robot died when he died.
Oh. So at this point, they're just trial and error. They're just testing
They're testing whatever
robots,
they got to use against him.
Makes sense.
And wrap this up with a yay or nay on Ligon Tyrox. I love the design of this character. I like the weapons. He looks really cool with the lion face and the unicorn horn. I, like you, had a problem with the fact that he wasn't able to adjust. He's definitely getting a yay for me because I love the way he looks, but I don't rank him as high as the Dracalon or the Nucleon Ball.
Yeah.
And I would say he's above the Gargoyle Vine.
Yeah, I probably gonna have to put him in the same spot, because even the Nucleon Ball had a lot of personality. As we mentioned, it, for being just a ball, it did a lot.
It had a lot of Kirby tech.
Yeah, it was, it was able to keep its own, especially against the robot. But yeah, I definitely liked the design. It had like this sense of pharaoh design. It looked something like a pharaoh, but not really. It was more like a dog or something like that.
Like Anubis.
Yeah,
that's
there
what
you
they were
go.
going for, the jackal.
Yeah.
Where Giant Robot is the Sphinx, it's the jackal. It sounds like we both give a yay on the villain.
Yeah, I'll give it a yay, but I'll put it in the same spot. So like number
3 of 4.
Number 3 of 4, yeah.
On the episode as a whole, I give it a yay. I loved, like I said, the way Johnny was handled. I thought it was funny that Jerry Mono couldn't stay awake. I liked the James Bond get smart gimmicks. Loved the Kirby tech. The fight was a little disappointing, but not really too disappointing because it showed Giant Robot with a little initiative. So all in all, I would say this episode is definitely a yay for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'll give the episode a yay. I definitely like the new stuff that they're doing with the robot, the upgrades and the different changes here and there. As long as they keep on this path, eventually we're bound to get a new foe that will do much better than Dracalon. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right, then. That's it. So until next time,
Watch out for Fallen Kaiju.